start us off, these brown pom-poms will represent glucose. Glucose is an energy source for the cell that can be converted into ATP energy. And these beads will represent insulin. Insulin is a hormone created in the pancreas that will allow glucose to enter the cell through glucose transport proteins. So let's just say that you eat a candy bar. So more glucose will be added to your bloodstream. Therefore, more insulin will also be added to counteract the glucose that was also added to your bloodstream.
So on the outside of the cell, there is an insulin receptor. The insulin receptors sense when the insulin is present and takes in the insulin. And when that happens, it senses the glucose transport protein to sense glucose to get through the cell.
Okay, so there are two certain disorders, or rather diseases, that people have where the relationship between glucose and insulin is not as we've just demonstrated. The first I will demonstrate is type 1 diabetes. It is where the pancreas, for some reason, the pancreas does not produce insulin, so the insulin is not present in the blood. So and since the insulin is not present in the blood, it's not able to get into the receptor, and therefore the glucose is not able to get into the cell to be used as energy. This is treated by injecting insulin into your bloodstream, which will make it present, and then it will be able to go into the receptor and go through the glucose transport protein to be used as energy. Okay. The other type of diabetes is type 2 diabetes, which, because of routine elevated levels of insulin in the blood, which is caused by unhealthy eating habits, not having an active lifestyle, and many other reasons, the insulin receptors have become desensitized and are not as sensitive to the presence of insulin in the blood as they once were. Because of this, more insulin needs to be interacting with the receptors, more insulin in the bloodstream for more insulin to be interacting with your receptors, for the same amount of glucose to be able to enter through the transport protein. This can be treated by the injection of drugs, which can resensitize the receptors, making them as sensitive as they once were, or the injection of more insulin, which will counteract the lost sensitivity of the receptors.